Attention Guilford County, are you ready for positive change in our schools? Introducing Bill Goebel, a true champion for our students, parents, and teachers. With years of experience and unwavering dedication, Bill Goebel is the leader we need on the school board. As a current member representing District 3, Bill is already making a difference, shaping policies that benefit our community. Vote for Bill Goebel for school board, and let's build a brighter future for Guilford County together. Paid for by the committee to elect Bill Goebel for school board.
Coming up in this episode of Finding Common Ground.
Brutal. It was brutal. And for those of you who say, Odell, I disagree with you, come on now. Come on now. Come on now. Don't do me like that.
Listen, I taped it. You want to see it again?
No, please. No.
That last minute when people are in the voting booth going, which one do I want in that office that I feel will do the least harm for my country?
There are two sides to every coin.
How do we deal with racial issues when they affect relationships?
Finding common ground on all those issues that we come against.
There's black and there's white.
And I think as Christians, we have to learn how to get together because we're not in heaven.
I've met more interesting people just by God just bringing them in.
Republicans and Democrats.
But a lot of times when it comes to race and it comes to culture and it comes to perception, even as Christians, we don't always understand. We look at it through our lenses.
There's Bill.
I grew up in a suburb of Cleveland called Parma.
Any black people in Parma?
There was not one.
Not one black person,
Not
Bill?
one.
Come
Not
on, Bill.
one.
You got to have one. A
Nope.
token black person? A token?
And there's Odell.
I grew up in Charleston, South Carolina, public housing, single mom, divorced single mom of 4 kids. And I came up through segregation and all that kind of stuff.
If a black person drove through the town, the police would stop and escort them out.
Bill and Odell are finding common ground.
A part of what we have to do is listen to each other, find the common ground, and question, not questioning you like you're on a witness stand, but questioning you for a better understanding. Father God, we just come to you in the precious name of Jesus the Christ. God, we say we thank you and we praise you, and we just lift you up, God. God, thank you for being so good, and just thank you for blessing this great country. This country we call the United States of America, God. And we still say, and we still believe, in God we trust. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Dear Heavenly Father, as many things unfolded in American politics and Supreme Court rulings and debates, we remember that our founding fathers set our country up, that all men are created equal. And we still believe that. We still believe that we have unalienable rights for liberty and freedom in pursuit of happiness. Lord, let us not lose focus on America and what made America the wonderful country it is and the haven for every citizen of the world that wants to come here. Amen.
Bill. I just can't explain what happened the other night with the presidential debate, Bill. I just couldn't understand, Bill. And after the debate, I looked outside and the vultures, the buzzards were circling Bill. The buzzards were circling Bill. And as a proud Democrat, I was sitting there, Bill. And I was ready, Bill. I was ready. I figured that it was a good fight. And I looked at the screen and my boy froze. And I'm like, what the? Bill, when it was over, my boy got beat like he stole something. And I just turned the TV off and I went to sleep, Bill. Bill, I lost sleep over it, Bill. I lost sleep.
I understand.
I bet if someone looked at me while I was trying to sleep, I was in a fetal position, Bill.
Yeah, I understand.
Trump beat the socks off of my guy.
Yeah, I don't think you can spin this.
Spin it? I mean, it was to the point where when Trump said in one answer, I don't know what he said. Even he didn't know what he said. It is so funny to me. And I'm like, fight back, man, fight back. But it wasn't like Trump was beating him so bad. It's like he beat himself, Bill.
Yeah. I don't know what his political advisors were thinking, but that was not a good show. You know, it was interesting. We look at what happened a week ago Thursday on that debate, and we all go, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh." But America's been through tougher times than this, and I'm not trying to spin it. But I was listening to David McCullough. He's a great historian, and there's a YouTube video where he was on with Marv. I don't think of Marv's last name, but he was a reporter. I think he was a White House reporter, and he was just interviewing him. And he talked about Harry Truman. He said, Harry Truman, every one of his political party leaders said he was unfit and he wasn't going to win. 60 or 70 leaders in this political party came out and vocally said that. And Harry Truman just kept on and kept on and kept on, and he won. He won. He just stayed the course. Everybody was throwing arrows at him. The man had thick skin, except when you criticized his wife. Then he went off. But other than that, he was thick-skinned. So I'm not trying to say he's incompetent. I can say this. He's the worst debater I've ever seen in my life. I mean, you couldn't make up a scenario for somebody. And I was with a lady today, and her father has dementia and Alzheimer's, and she said, "That's the look."
I can't comment on that if he has dementia or Alzheimer's. But what I will say is this. President Joe Biden got the brakes beat off of him in that debate. I ain't trying to spend nothing. I'm sitting here saying, and then they had the nerve, and this is my party. He had a cold. He didn't have no cold afterwards when he was talking. He didn't have a cold the next day. He was
that's a bunch of hooey.
But he had a cold. It's like, come on, man. I'm sitting there and I'm like, what in the world? What are you doing? Do something. Do something. Because, we all know that, listen, trees don't grow to the sky. We know that. And what I mean by that is President Trump had a great week. I mean, think about it, Bill. The presidential debate, he beat the socks off him. He beat the brakes off of Biden. The polls, he's up in the polls. I think the Supreme Court ruling came down, and we want to talk about that. And now Trump thinks he's the U.S. president as a king because, and you think about the whole sentences being delayed. But one thing I learned playing sports and other things I learned on the dirt roads of South Carolina, this is just the first quarter. Now, I'm not giving up on President Biden. No, not a chance, because everybody know my stance that I always pulled for no Trump, no Biden in 2024. I was pulling for that in 2022 and 2023 because I still believe two things. America is the greatest country in the world at this time, and America can produce two more qualified, capable individuals than President Trump and President Biden and former President Trump. I believe those two things, and I believe those in my heart. Now, the people may disagree with Odell. Obviously, they did, because when I was saying no Biden and no Trump for 2024, the American public said, Odell, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. And here, this is what we got. We have one flawed president who's running, who used to be a president, and then we have another guy who got all kinds of challenges. Bill, one time, I started feeling so bad. I started feeling so bad for President Biden when he was mumbling and all this. Is like, what's wrong with you, man? And it's like, how do you lose a train of thought? How do you lose a train of thought at the biggest moment? You lose your train of thought and you just end up with anything, like you're pulling any kind of answer out of the air. You were pulling any kind of answer. And the narrative was that Biden was practicing and Trump was just freelancing. Man, Trump was prepared. Trump was ready. And I'm going to call a spade a spade. I'm going to give Trump credit. He was prepared. And it's like Biden had so many stuff in his head, he couldn't pull it out, Bill.
I think you might be right on that. I think you might have overpracticed. You know what it's like when you overpractice. You become flat and stale. You don't have that competitive edge. And that could be, but it was difficult to watch.
It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
From the good-looking black guy who's a Democrat, it was embarrassing. I was embarrassed. I said, you better move, Biden, because the buzzards are circling. And if you don't move, them buzzards going to land on you. The political buzzards are still circling. We backed off a little bit, but the political buzzards from the Democratic Party is still circling, Bill.
They did the polls. He didn't lose any points, which is incredible. He's still behind by 6, but he hasn't lost any points. Before we go any further, that YouTube video is called the Caleb Report, KALB Report. The American Story, a Masterclass of History with David McCullough. And he talks about Trump in there before Trump ran for president or when he was running against Hillary Clinton. And he goes through in detail questions about, could America become a fascist country?
I'm not there yet. I think that America is in a war with itself. I think America is wrestling with itself. And the key is, what does America want to be when it grows up right now? Because for the people who believe Trump was done wrong by the political justice system, I'm not going to try to take that belief away from them. But the people who feel that Biden is better than Trump, I'm not going to take that belief from them either, because it's their belief. They get to hold on to that. But for those who say that in this whole country, we can't find 2 other individuals that's more capable of representing us than Biden and Trump, oh, y'all can jump in the lake on that one.
Well, here's how I look at it. Neither of those guys run the country. It's the staff, the advisors, the departments that run the country. They do have influence, don't get me wrong. But, Biden is as bad as he looked.
And he looked very bad.
Didn't they just take hundreds and hundreds of rockets and missiles down in Israel with a coordination between Israel and the American government and the English government? And if Biden is senile or incompetent, somehow our military was able to take out every one of those suckers.
I'm not saying Biden is senile or incompetent. What I'm saying is Biden embarrassed me last week.
Well, I'll agree with you on that.
It's personal. Yeah. Biden embarrassed me. Trump beat him like he stole something.
Yeah.
Trump beat him so bad. It's almost like when we grew up in the hood, people beat you up so bad, and then you run away, and on your way running, they put their foot up your behind. They kick you. He ran and Trump kicked him. Yeah. When Trump said, I don't know what he said. He don't even know what he said. That's just like kicking him in the butt. Yeah, get out of here.
That was amazing. Because, I didn't know what he said either. I didn't know. I was like, well, he's right on this.
Does anybody in the audience from how many states we in, Bill?
All 52 states.
All 52 states. How many countries?
54.
So is anybody in all 52 states and 54 countries, if anybody knows what he said, email us, text us, let us know. Because I don't know what he said either, Bill. I don't know what he said. Yep. But afterwards, they said at the after party, he was at an after party and he was okay. He didn't have a cold. Then they said he stopped at Waffle House, right?
Yeah.
Remind me of my good friend, Congressman Mark Walker, stopped at Waffle House and he was okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what happened to the cold, man?
I don't know. It just went away. It miraculously, that happens at Waffle House.
Come on.
Waffle House will make you things.
Trump intimidated him.
Hey, I got to correct something. I said we're all in all 52 states. There are no 52 states. There's only 50. I'm in 52 countries.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right, so somebody just...
It's kind of like a debate, right?
Okay. Who's fact-checking, right?
Yeah, who's fact-checking?
Yeah, 52 states, 50 states, all this kind of good stuff. But the good thing about it is that it's the first quarter. Your favorite team starts off slow. And they tried to say, well, yes, he started off slow, but he came better. No, he was slow the whole time. He made a couple points, but he was slow the whole time.
You know I felt the worst for?
Who?
The 2 moderators, because they had to sit there and see this thing in person.
Man, I want to say this, and I'm not a Trump fan, but Trump did a good job.
Oh, yeah. Well, how is it you couldn't have a good job against somebody can't keep a thought? I mean, he better have done a good job.
Okay.
That's like, shooting fish in a barrel.
So the Democratic National...
If he had had a decent person against him, I don't think he would have done that good. He would have called him out on, I don't know how many lies he said, but there were a whole bunch.
But man, Trump lies like a
You
fish
think Obama
swim.
could have done a better job debating Trump?
Of course, President Obama could have did a better job.
That's a soft pitch there.
Yeah, that's an easy one. But, Biden just he didn't look good. He didn't sound good. He wasn't rational in some of his approaches. And this is my guy. And I'm sitting there saying, come on, man, throw a haymaker, do something. And he even missed the points on the subjects that was important and near and dear to him. Is like, man, you reel off. And it reminded me when we used to play high school basketball and college basketball. And we would go, because we were defending state champions, national champions, and we would go to other people's gym. And sometime, Bill, they would be afraid to even play us. So the game was won before the game even started.
Yep, I saw that in football.
Yeah, and so
you get off the bus and you go, "Oh my gosh,
look how big they are."
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened. And again, it's going to be another debate. President Biden, I know you hear me. I know you listen. I know you're a fan. But you got to do better, man. You have to do better. You have to do much better. Because believe it or not, the buzzards are circling. The buzzards thought you were gone. They were getting ready to land on you. I'm like, no, don't land on them yet. Rigor mortis. Come on, man. You got us out here. Come on. And in the statement of Trump's like the black job. So now as black folk, we like, what's the black job? What's the black jobs? Bill, what's the black jobs?
I have no idea.
But usually if the debate was going well, I would have got offended over the black job comment. And I'm like, you know what? I'm so shocked. The black jobs thing didn't even bother me. I'm like, the black jobs, I need my guy to get up off the mat, man.
I didn't even hear that word. I think I was so stunned. It was hard to watch. It was
brutal. It was brutal. And for those of you who say, Odell, I disagree with you, come on now. Don't do me like that.
Listen, I taped it. You want to see it again?
No, please. No. I don't want to see it again. So the polls are going up. Trump is still in the polls. And you said, hey, listen, Odell, he didn't lose that much because, Bill, it's going back to your place. The Democratic National Convention is going to be in Chicago. And people are like, hey, Biden needs to drop out. No. You don't need to drop out now. Don't start doing all that kind of stuff, because sometimes when you standing there and get your butt kicked, take that whipping like a man. You took it like a man, and when it's over, now you come back and say, okay, the next time we fight, I'm going to be ready, because he just kicked my behind. He did it cold. If Biden had a cold, when Trump got through whipping his behind, he whipped the coal out of him, Bill.
No, he did.
So that's why the after party in Waffle House, he didn't have a cold, because when Trump kicked him in his behind running out, the cold went out. Get your behind off this stage. And that's when he lost the cold, Bill.
I know. He lost the cold. Going to Waffle House. Tell you, you have, what is it? Scattered, smothered, and smeared or something.
But he's still my man, Bill. He's still my man. Everybody need to know President Biden is still my man. But boy, it was brutal. It's almost like looking at your favorite, like a Dallas Cowboys fan. Them Cowboys fans wait until next year.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like a Dallas Cowboys fan.
I'm from Cleveland, man. We celebrate. Oh, my gosh. We went to the 50th anniversary, a couple of my brothers and I, and when it was in Los Angeles or San Francisco. And my brothers had T-shirts made celebrating 50 years of the Cleveland Browns not making the Super Bowl.
So help me with this one, Bill. Trump is having a great week.
Yep.
So he won the debate.
Have you ever had a great week?
Man, I'm having a great week right now.
There you go.
When I finally woke up and I went to bed, Bill, sad after the debate. I went to bed sad. I'm like, wait a minute, Odell, you happy. I'm like, nah, man, my man got beat. And I woke up the next morning. I was on a business trip. I woke up the next morning, got myself together, and thank God nobody even asked me about the debate because we had so many things going on. And it's like, what am I going to say? I couldn't say he didn't lose. He got knocked out. So how can you say he didn't lose? No. I'm not one of these guys who sit there and lie and say this and say that. But think about that, though. Trump's sentencing got moved back to September. So that's interesting. Then the Supreme Court came in first and said, hey, the Supreme Court's ruling granted presidents broad immunity, from prosecution. So when that happened, that triggered the folks in New York said, wait a minute, we got to back up on that too. So Trump had a great week. Bannon went to federal prison, but we knew that. And Odell's still saying no Biden.
And Giuliani lost his, he was disbarred from the New York Bar Association.
And did he get his hair color back?
I don't know.
I mean, Rudy, come on, man. I don't know, man. Rudy. I'm not even going to get off on Rudy. Rudy got so many challenges. Rudy got a lot of challenges.
Well, I was listening to someone talk about Rudy today, and they were talking about right after 9/11, he got some kind of a contract. I don't know, it was speaking or consulting.
Yeah, he was the man
for $2 million.
He was the man.
And then his career started tapering off, and it wasn't until he got involved with Trump again that he started taking off again. So, these guys, sometimes it's like an actor that did a lot of stuff in their early career, and then they go through this drought.
Right.
And, if you're an actor and you were successful, you don't go to the grocery store and become a bagger, right? Now, some of these guys invested their money and had investment companies and commercial real estate companies, but, they don't have work.
Well, Biden's going to make a comeback. You heard it from me first. He's going to come back. He's going to make.
You think he's going to debate him again?
Oh, yeah, he has to. He has to debate him again. But I think they need to take him off the script. But ain't nobody paying me to advise them. But I think they need to take him off script, and all these names and numbers and figures got all jumbled up in his head. So the bottom line is, though, you still need 270 electoral votes to win, right?
Yes.
So electoral college 270, and Trump could count and Biden could count. But it's interesting how you said, and I want to go back and revisit, you said Odell is not the individuals, it's the people around them. So a lot of the people who are around former President Trump are in jail now.
Yeah, there are.
Who were around him.
Yep.
So what's that all about?
Well, when they get out, they can help them.
Now, Steve Bannon, in spite of what
he's only there 4 months, so he's not going to make many license plates.
Do you think that they're going to delay Hunter Biden's sentencing?
No. No, he's going to be sentenced. I don't know what the sentence is going to be.
Yeah.
But he might end up doing some jail time.
Hey, Trump was so bold when Biden said, "You a felon." Trump said, "Your son's a felon." Biden said, "You had sex with a porn star." Trump said, "No, I didn't."
Yeah, I know.
Right? And Biden was like shocked that Trump wouldn't admit to messing with Stormy Daniels. It's like Biden had no comeback. It's almost like I have these one-liners, these shockers, but they didn't shock anyone because it was so out of nature. The game was over. The horse had left the barn. All that happened by them because he started off so bad. And everybody like, we admit he did start off bad. He had a cold. When did you find out he had a cold, Bill?
After. Somebody said that he had a cold. I go, oh, give me a break.
Exactly.
Give me a break. When he come walking out, I shouldn't say walking out, when he came shuffling out, I was like,
that's my man.
I'm a not a good look. Goble. That's not a good look. And I understand as you get older, he's 81, that you don't walk the same. You don't have the same stride. And so I understand that. So, I can give him some grace for that. It's not a good look, but, it's not a John Wayne walk for sure. And so, I can give him some leeway on that. But staring into the camera with his eyes look like he just saw a shark swim by, I was like, what is that look?
It's almost like you had to come back.
He was looking the wrong way. He was looking the wrong way. He turned the wrong.
It's like he was looking for help, Bill.
Well, I think he thought the camera was on at that angle. So he was looking at the wrong camera.
Bill, they've been practicing for months. Let me ask a question. You're a hunter. You're a great hunter. You're a great shooter. I've hunted with you. When you look up and see the buzzards are circling, what that usually mean, Bill?
There's a dead animal. There's something dead out there.
Dead or dying.
Yeah, and they'll drag you off and eat you.
So when I saw the political buzzards circling after President Biden's performance, how should I interpret what I saw, sir?
Well, do you think they should put a replacement in for Biden?
No, not at all. No. That's the death sentence. If they do that.
Well, there's nobody that comes to top of mind.
Well, but I have to understand now, only way they could do it, President Biden would have to agree to it, because the delegates that Biden won in the primary, those are his delegates. That's just the way it is. So you can't go back and redo that. And you can't say the vice president could automatically go in there because it doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
So you have all these challengers, and Biden has to be careful because if you mistreat, misuse, abuse the vice president, you lose the black female vote.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And that's one of the strongest, most loyal votes that he has.
Amen.
Biden couldn't even talk about abortion. He stumbled through abortion. His Ace Coon Spoon, we say in South Carolina, that's some geeky talk. Ace Coon Spoon card. Yeah. He couldn't even handle that.
No. He's got a lot of wood to chop. And there's still a group of people that don't want Trump in the office.
I agree with that.
And so I don't think they're going to change. And obviously it didn't change the polls at all. They're still the way they were before and 6 months ago. So I think what it's going to come down to is that last minute when people are in the voting booth going, which one do I want in that office that I feel will do the least harm for my country?
Wow. So you're saying which one of the wow. So you're saying we're reaching down the vote. We're not reaching up the vote. We're reaching down.
There's nobody, you didn't hear anybody about talking about the future in that.
Nah.
There was no future talk. So I don't think there's, I think it's, who do you think will do the least harm to the country?
What do you think about the Supreme Court, Bill? I have my issues with the Supreme Court, as everyone knows, because we were taught in school that the Supreme Court was it. The Supreme Courts were the adult in the room who made the decisions and settled things. I remember the Hanging Chad situation with Bush versus Gore. The Supreme Court came in and made a ruling, and the country said, okay, the Supreme Court, those who sit on God's right hand and left hand, made a ruling. We had a ruling from on high. And when the Supreme Court speaks, we listen. I don't think it's that way anymore, sir.
No, I think granting immunity, total immunity to the president is an interesting concept that was never brought up to the Supreme Court. I mean, you felt that if a president was office and he was making decisions that were right for the country, they were. And if he wasn't, you could always impeach him. Like they tried to twice with Trump. In fact, McConnell said on the Senate floor after the January 6th that nobody is above the law, no president or anything.
McConnell
said that.
McConnell has no credibility.
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell is a big part of the problem, Bill. When Mitch McConnell said that he despised President Barack Obama and he's going to make him a one-time presidency, and he held the vote back for 8 months, said, wait on the next guy. And then he pushed Trump's selection through in 8 weeks. Then everybody understood that you could rig the Supreme Court justice. And when people see that something's rigged, you know what they do? They quit respecting it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting how the legislature got involved in another branch of government and reached in and made changes. And it kind of sounds like Summerfield. And it sounds like what they did to me with the school board.
But now it's interesting, though. And this is not what you're saying. I'm saying it. I'm not running for a political office. I'm the good looking black guy who doesn't even live in District 3. But when Raleigh reached in twice to interfere with the school board race, a lot of people were like, that's great. But when that same hand showed up to interfere in Summerfield, people are like, wait a minute. Well, no, wait a minute. See, you can't have it both ways.
I know.
When you let the genie out of that lamp, you can't have it both ways. So some who cheered when they came in and intervened with the school board situation twice. By the way, where's John Hardison? John, we need you on the show. We need you on the show, John. We need you on the show now because you know a lot about this. You were right in the middle of it. You were rubbing the genie. You were rubbing the genie now. Now the genie's out. So it'd be nice because I think John was the majority whip in there. So, John, I would love for you to come on the show and talk to me. Talk to the good-looking black guy. You're not on the witness stand. I'm not questioning you, John, like you're on the witness stand, but I want to question you for a better understanding of how did this genie get out the lamp, and now all of a sudden, is it just Guilford County that the genie keeps visiting?
Seems to be. The politics is strange. And when it gets out of control, it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. And, I remember, I wasn't alive then, but I was alive, but I was very young. Senator McCarthy, felt there were communists and gays in our government, and they were being, particularly the gays, they were being blackmailed by the communists to become spies for the communists. So he went on this witch hunt to find communists. And J. Edgar Hoover, who was the FBI guy at the time, kept a list of who they thought, and they would follow him. Martin Luther King was one of them. So
I thought they was following Martin Luther King because he was black. So you can tell me, communists was more of a threat than being black.
Well, back then there was people had to swear allegiance that they would be interviewed in government positions. Are you married? How long you been married? Where did you meet? Where did you propose? Where did you have your honeymoon? These were questions that people were asked.
Okay. I don't want to get off track, but let me say this. So you're going to ask someone all these questions to see if they were gay or straight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
by the way, they still use those questions when you become an immigrant and want to become a U.S. citizen.
Bill, I'm used to, because I grew up I was born in 1960 in deep South Carolina, in the middle of all kind of stuff. So I'm used to bias, prejudice, and stereotypes. I'm used to certain structures put in place. I'm used to those in authority who would abuse their authority against brown and black children because they didn't want us in school. I'm used to that. I'm used to seeing poor black people on the street corner begging with a cardboard, begging. We used to call them bums and hobos back in those days. But what I'm not used to is how those in authority now, because when South Carolina is all black and white, now is white and white. It doesn't even matter because those in authorities want what they want. And now I see a lot of white folks on the side of the road with a cardboard sign, please help, this. So things are changing, Goebel, in a way, but I don't know if it's racism or homophobia or what have you. But my God, who has the right to disqualify someone or put someone in jail because of the color of their skin?
Yeah, I agree. It's, there's a great book called The Color of Law. And it talks about not just black issues, but it talks about how laws were set up to maintain superiority of one group over another.
I agree with that.
And, growing up, I thought laws are made just, you don't go through a red light. You don't, I didn't realize that laws were manipulated for maintaining superiority or for political gains. I sure found out when I ran for school board.
See, that's the stuff they used to do to black people down in South Carolina.
Yeah.
They treated you like a black person in South Carolina, Goebel.
And, my feeling is I forgive them. I'm going to just run and I'm going to win.
Well, that's what the black folks said in Charleston, South Carolina, at Mother Emanuel, when Dylan Roof came in there and shot up a lot of people when he was in there in Bible study. And when the time came for sentencing, a lot of folks said, we forgive you.
Yes, I remember that.
But it split the black community because a lot of black folks like,
we ain't going there.
We ain't going there.
Yeah. And that's a tough thing, with that whole scene. And I remember Obama going to that church, and he's a horrible singer, but he started singing.
No. President Barack Obama was not a horrible singer. And he says he started singing Amazing Grace. The black tradition is this. You don't have to be a great singer. You just have to be able to carry that tune. Now, it's interesting that one of the few Republicans there was our good friend
Mark
Mark Walker.
Yeah,
he was there also.
Cool. I bet you. Did he get grief over that? You think?
In those days, Mark really didn't care about grief.
Mm-hmm.
In those days,
he did the right thing.
He did the right thing,
which was the right thing. I mean, looking back, those are kind of places that I should have gone.
Well, question for you though, Summerfield. What happens now?
Well, it goes, the land is taken away from Summerfield. So I don't know how much of a tax base that is.
How do you take away 1,000 acres?
I don't know. I've never heard of it before. But it now goes to Guilford County because it's in Guilford County. So they have to follow Guilford County zoning laws. So Couch, who owns it, is going to have to file for what he wants to do. And then it's going to be up to Guilford County to decide, okay, you can do that.
Well, who's the county commissioner out there?
That is Pat Tillman, I think.
Boy, Pat, ooh, Pat, ooh. Boy, that's tough when something like this falls in your lap.
I'll tell you what, if I was him, I'd go on vacation to Grand Cayman.
Nah. Pat, come on the show, Pat, and talk. Mike can help you out, brother. It's like, come on, man. Pat's like, I didn't sign up for this.
Mm.
I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, and they're going to come right at him because if it comes down to commissioner's vote, he's got to decide which way he's going to go.
But is that fair to him, though? Is that fair to him, Bill? Because Pat was minding his own business. The people of Summerfield, according to what I heard, the reports from the mayor, Tim Sessions, another friend of mine, it's like a lot of people ran and got elected on the fact that, hey, we're going to stop this. This is not going to happen. And we're going to stop it, and we can stop it. And the current city council of Summerfield is not doing enough, blase. And they got elected and they couldn't stop it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody could have stopped it. I think at that point, all you could do is find some common ground somehow and work together for the best you can, but you can't stop it. And now it's out of their hands, so they're really out of control out of it. And in the meantime, they fired their city manager. Their staff resigned over protest over it. So that town has its hands full right now.
But some good people there.
There's
a lot of good people
absolutely.
there.
I got a lot of friends that live in some.
I'll borrow a phrase. It's good people on both sides.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh, my goodness
gracious. They're good people on both sides of Summerfield's battle. It's just that now the battle's over. Or maybe people say, no, the battle's not over. The South will rise again. And what are you going to do? You're going to keep fighting the Hatfields and McCoys, or are you going to come to find some form of common ground and kind of say, okay, where do we go from here? Where's the leadership? Who's leading?
Well, here's the thing. No matter what they do, Summerfield's not getting the taxes.
Oh, I don't even think it's really about taxes.
No, it was about growth and what they wanted to keep the community like more of a country feeling.
Yeah. And I can understand that. But it's just like, we have Westridge where we live. We have a community overlay that's been approved, and there's certain restrictions in our community that you can't do. And that's been approved by the town council and the planning zone and everything. Now, a builder could take it to court and might win. I don't know. It might even go to Supreme Court. Bill, now this may be
if you got enough money.
This may be hard for you to believe, Bill, but I've been black my whole life. And listen to all this say, Odell, I'm so sick and tired of you talking about being black. I know. But Bill, I've been black my whole life. And the neighborhood I grew up in, it's interesting. We had a sewer system running through it that dumped into the water. Big old giant sewer. We
dumped
had
into the ocean?
Yeah, Ashley River.
Yeah, just raw sewage.
Raw sewage. We would see it floating up. The back part of it by the graveyard was a dump, an open dump where people, garbage trucks every day would come and dump. And it used to be a lot of seagulls on the dump. And then later on, we found out, I forgot what it's called, but let me explain it to you. Another part of our neighborhood where it was a big company there who had a contract that they would go in and take the railroad blocks. It was like the wood beams on the railroad, the ties that had all this
creosote.
Yes, on it.
Which is toxic.
And they would bury it. And I bet I could take you right now where I played as a little boy on those things. And I bet if that land is tested to this day,
yeah,
it's there.
Yep, I bet you're right.
It's there. So it's like, and check this out. And we had a railroad track running through the neighborhood. So you had sewer, you had a train coming through. We had a couple people over the years got hit by the train. Train coming through your neighborhood now. A train. So the overlay you talking about, we got overlaid all right. You had a big old trash trucks coming in all day dumping.
Did it smell?
Of course. And then we had that stuff, that sticky stuff that in the summertime when you went over there playing and it got real hot, the stuff get all over you when we go pick blackberries.
Oh, wow.
And even to this day, certain areas have never been developed back there because it's toxic and it's poisoned. And so that's the neighborhood. So certain neighborhoods, you grow up and all of a sudden the town fathers or the city council decide to run a 4-lane highway through your neighborhood and split your neighborhood. So my view of neighborhoods are somewhat different. I've had different life experiences, so I know what can happen when good people remain silent. So someone asked the question, Odell, are you afraid of President Trump become president? No, I'm not afraid. I'm concerned. But other people are concerned and afraid if President Biden become the president. So if the president of the United States is the leader of the free world is in trouble. Because I don't think we put our best foot forward, Mr. Goebel. I don't think we did.
Well, I think you're right there. You know, I was with some folks today and they were talking about Bidenomics, you know, with inflation and all that stuff. I agree. There was inflation. Totally agree. And I think it's getting under control. I think it wasn't caused because of Biden. I think probably there was part of it caused by all the money they put into the economy, and Biden was some of that. But I think it really was caused by COVID. When our supply chain shut down, and what happens, supply and demand, it's basic economics. If there's not enough supply to go around, the way you get your part of it is you pay more. And those that pay more get their stuff. And so I think, you know, I was with a company and they said, you know, we want to always pay our subcontractors 15 days before the bills due. Because I want them to know that they're going to always get paid. So when I ask them to do a job, we will be the first on the list. And what happened with our supply chain is we didn't have enough stuff because China shut down and then the ports got jammed up and nobody was carrying safety stock like they used to or excess inventory because everybody was doing lean business practices, which I understand. And so all this stuff hit at the same time and jacked prices up. And then Saudi Arabia and Russia raised the oil prices, which impacts everything. I mean, delivery of food, right? Because it's got to, I don't care if it's on a truck, a boat, a plane, or a train, they all use fuel. If the price of fuel goes up, they're not going to lose the profitability. They're going to charge you.
Well, who gets hurt, Bill?
The consumer.
Does the rich get hurt or the poor get hurt? Because of course, the poor is hurt and the rich is hurt, but isn't it the middle class who gets beat?
Fixed incomes really get creamed because your income doesn't keep up with inflation, so you have less buying power. And it's a slow drip. You don't see it overnight. It's like, holy cow, the price of eggs went up. Holy cow, the price of gasoline is. So maybe I won't buy this or buy that.
How about our school kids? How about our school? How about our future? You talked about the future. How about our school kids? You're running for school board. How do you how do you position as a leader for school board? You have the teachers, you have the administrators, you have the students, you have families depending on leadership, because I believe it all boils down to leadership. So how do you lead, Bill, if we're sitting on the school board arguing amongst ourselves, just like we do at the Supreme Court, just like we're doing in Congress? I mean, how do you lead if you're arguing? Because to lead, you have to find common ground. I'm not saying compromise one's core beliefs, but I'm saying sometimes to get things done, you have to give and take. Because all this, no, I don't care. You know, you don't get things done. We need a school board to get things done, Goebel. We need a school board to get things done. How do you get things done on the school board, sir?
Well, you know, you take a look at the three funding sources. You can't get things done without money. I mean, you just can't. And so what's the federal's responsibility for schools? It's basically targeted funding and for Title I schools and also for COVID. So federal government will do national school lunch program because kids can't study when they're hungry. They do school breakfast, special milk program, fruit and vegetable program, COVID. Then the role of the state, our state, is it's in our Constitution that public schools should be free for everyone in the state. And so that means the state's responsible for salaries and benefits of our teachers. We're ranked 36 in the country on that.
Retirement also?
Yep. Instruction materials and transportation, buses. The state owns all our buses. So they're supposed to provide us with money to run the schools.
Okay.
So what is the local responsibility? Capital improvements, just to keep our schools up to date, from new roofs, air conditioning, and our average, and both state and local have really fell down. In the case of state, we're ranked 47th in the nation for state funding. So we got to fix that. And in local, our average age of our school in Guilford County is over 60 years old.
So the school's about as old as I am.
Oh, yeah. And the air conditioning, the heating systems, and the boilers, we can't even get parts for that stuff. So, in much to the credit of the local people, they voted the largest bond in the history of North Carolina, $1.7 billion, I think it was. And they already had $200 million or $300 million on the books for capital. So our local government is providing the capital to improve the maintenance. But because the state has underfunded us so much, the local government, our taxes, your and I taxes, have stepped up to take over some of the state's responsibility. The state used to do, years ago, capital bonds for all the schools. And somebody said if they were to do a bond, how much would they need to do for all the schools in the state? It's over $12 billion. So what we've got to do is get everybody to get up and pay their bills.
Well, how about those who can't afford to pay their bills? And it's ironic because I thought the big push was school lottery. What's the name of the thing? Educational lottery.
Yeah.
What happened to that?
Yeah.
That was the big push years ago.
Everybody goes, wow, look at all that money. Well, first off, you're giving 50% of it away as prizes. So 50% of it's gone. I think it's something like 8 or 12% that's used for administration. And the rest is supposed to be given to schools. It was originally written up to given to schools as a supplement to their current state allocation. Well, they changed the law and they took out the word supplement. So it's not a supplement anymore.
That change in laws in Raleigh is something, boy.
Yeah.
Raleigh could change a law in a heartbeat,
you betcha.
boy, from a mass to anything.
Yep.
We change laws now.
Yep. And we were supposed to give, and I may have these numbers wrong, but we were supposed to give something like 38% of the funds from the lottery were supposed to go to the schools. They took that out. And now it's at the discretion of the state legislators. And I think we're down to 22% that we've been given. So, there's a sleight of hand here, and I get it. I'm sorry, what does a sleight of hand mean, sir? Oh, this is what we're going to do. And then when you get ready to do it, oops, sorry, changed my mind. I'm going to do this instead. So it's sleight of hand.
Hocus pocus?
Yeah, that's another way to look at it.
Razzle dazzle?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Did you play basketball? When you get the guy to look at the ball and you pass it backwards.
Yeah.
And you go, what the heck? Where did that go?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, now
did you ever pass the ball backwards?
Bill, I didn't pass the ball backwards. I wasn't even a guard. I didn't. Behind my back.
Did you dribble between your legs?
Nope. I just played. I just played hard. I played like somebody who was mad all the time. And
you're aggressive.
Very aggressive. And now when I think about it, I was angry. I was angry, and I was able to funnel my anger into basketball, and that anger and that intensity helped me, because a lot of times when we played people, and some of them was a lot better than me and taller than I was, but they wasn't as intense as I was.
It's physical.
Yeah, because no one wants to match somebody else's energy except for someone else. And what they call it in the NBA and other places now, they said, you hear a player referring to himself, I'm a dog. And what they mean by that when they say they're a dog, D-O-G, is like, I'm tough. I'm just as tough as everybody else. Bill, I would say that you are a political dog. That's a compliment.
Thank you.
That's a compliment, because you went out there and you went to those polls by yourself, set up and got those signatures. That's what a dog does. It's like, listen, I ain't afraid of you.
No,
I'm not afraid of the system.
It's interesting. The first time I went door to door, I was scared to death. I can remember walking down my driveway, walking down one of these streets, and knocking on a door. Fortunately, the first door I did were our neighbors that we knew.
Okay.
So that was good.
And
But
they're like, "Hey, Bill, how you doing?"
yeah, what are you knocking on our door for? Because you know what it's like if somebody comes unannounced to your door and knocks on it.
Oh yeah.
You're thinking, what are they trying to peddle?
Oh, somebody grabbed a gun. Where's my gun?
Yeah, exactly. And or sick the dog on you, one of the two, you know? And but as I got used to it, I really enjoyed it. You know, a couple techniques I learned.
What's your technique? Don't give away your trade secrets because people might be listening, Goble. People just might be listening.
You know what my secret was?
What's your secret, sir?
They'll have to come and ask me.
Maybe over coffee?
Yeah, or bourbon.
Oh, bourbon, coffee or bourbon. That's your secret.
Yeah.
And everything else. So listen, as we turn toward close, how's the campaign going?
Good. It's going good.
When's the debate? Well, I know you all. What's going on with the debate?
Dory's already told me she's got it figured out. She knows the place and the time.
Okay. Who's going to be the moderator?
When hell freezes over.
Oh, wow. So we don't need a moderator.
Do it. In fact, I was at the school board meeting last week, and my Democratic opponent got up and did his 3 minutes talk. And the first thing he said...
Is it black?
No.
So we got 3 white guys running for District 3.
Yep.
Okay. What percentage of black folks are in District 3?
I think it's around 17%.
What percentage of Democrats are in District 3?
About 30%. So they're half of the Democrats.
What percent of Republicans are in District 3?
32%.
Oh, man. So it's a 3-3-3.
38% unaffiliated.
Wow.
And growing.
But unaffiliated, let's be for real. Unaffiliated is Democrats and Republicans who don't want to be bothered with being labeled, because I think not all, but some people, they know what they're going to do. I got some friends who are unaffiliated, you know, and they just as Republican as they want to be, but they don't want to be labeled that way, or they're Democrat as they want to be, but they're unaffiliated.
I don't think I know a lot of people that left the Republican Party because of the Magna Group. But I don't know a lot of people that joined the Republican Party because of the Magna Group. And if you look at which group is growing and which is shrinking, in the state, unaffiliated is now the largest party. And the Republicans have been shrinking.
Well,
and Democrats have been moving up a notch, but unaffiliated has been really moving up.
But is unaffiliated organized? Or that's just a status one sits, because Republicans are organized, as you well know.
And Democrats
are organized. Yeah. So unaffiliated is like, hey, I'm just hanging out, but I'm going to vote, though.
Yep, they're going to vote. They are very independent. They're proud that they can be independent and do what they want and not be dictated to. And, you know, I didn't realize how vindictive a party is to its members if they don't follow along.
You talking about the Democrats?
Not the Democrats. I haven't seen it so much for that. I was at a Democratic...
Unaffiliated?
No, Republican. Republicans are very aggressive. I was at an event, a Democratic event, and I went around, introduced myself. I'm Bill Goble. I'm running for school board. And they go, unaffiliated. And they go, well, don't you have a Democratic opponent? And named his name. I said, yeah. They said, why isn't he here? And I said, I don't know, but I'm here.
Wow.
And let me tell you why you need to vote for me.
Do you go to Republican events too?
No.
Can you go, or are you barred from that?
No, I'm no longer a Republican, so yes, I could go.
Okay, wait a minute.
I'm unaffiliated. They may stop me from coming in the door. You know, I suspect if I showed up, there would be a group of people showing me the door, escorting me out.
But you're unaffiliated.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Okay.
You would think that there's a Republican candidate, and that Republican candidate is very aggressive at keeping people in line, you know, and it's kind of like John Hardister was the whip. You know what the responsibility of the whip is?
To keep people in line.
Yeah. Well, that's the way the Republicans think. We're going to keep you in line. If you're a Republican, you're going to back a Republican, not the best candidate. They don't think about the kids. It's an R. That's the best way to vote for the kids, and not necessarily.
Well, Bill, but people could count. And if John Hardister, who's a friend of mine, I like John.
I like John too.
John and myself share the same corporate headquarters, Panera Bread on Lawndale. I'm in the front office when you first come in the door. Yeah, John's way back there in the back, in that little back where you go out the back door back that way.
Yeah.
That's where John usually hangs out back there. I'm just telling you.
Didn't black people used to come in the back door?
I'm telling you this. John hangs out in the back by the back door. Odell hangs out in the front and comes in the front door.
Okay. Does he ever come up and say hello?
Every now and then I would see John back there when I go to the restroom, because back in the back is by the restroom too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I walk back there and say, "Hey, John, how you doing?" Always nice.
Yeah, I am so glad you told me. I am taking some of my literature and put it up on the community billboard there.
The community billboard at Panera Bread.
You betcha. I take that stuff around and I put our business cards up about I've got them in all kinds of sheets around here. And, why not? You never know when someone's going to take the QR code and zip it in there. So,
do you hate your opponent?
No.
Do you think your opponent hates you?
Yes. He won't even shake my hand. Now, that's the Republican, the Democrat. So anyhow, this Democrat got up, and the first thing he started doing is Bill Goebel, he started in on me, challenged our challenger to a debate, and he didn't include me.
So you make people get up with like stump speeches?
Oh, man, this guy he mentioned my name a half a dozen times that I'm not unaffiliated. I'm really a Republican in disguise, and this isn't, all this is a Republican primary, and that he's the only Democrat, and he's blah, 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 and Goebbels, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, holy cow, this is unbelievable.
How long has this guy been in District 3, been in Greensboro?
I think 3 or 4 years.
So he's been a resident of Greensboro for 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been a resident of Greensboro?
Since 1990.
Okay.
And the first time I came down here was in 1984.
Okay. And this is just how it's going to play out. So I think that this year's presidential election is going to be the most expensive election ever.
Oh, my goodness.
I think that in North Carolina, the governor's election between Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson and Attorney General Josh Stein is going to be real expensive.
Oh, man.
It's going to be money, dark money, light money. Money's going to be everywhere. TV commercials, billboards, ads, your newspaper. Our newspaper is going to be flooded. And we're going to be one of those states that, oh my God, just let the political ads stop. Please let it stop. Please let it stop, please. But I've seen some tough ads out there this early. So that means it's going to be nasty. That governor's race is going to be nasty. The presidential race is going to be nasty. District 3 school board race is going to be nasty.
Not nasty for me. I'm just going to do my job. And I'm looking forward to the election. I'm looking forward to campaigning. I'm looking forward to going door to door and being at the polling booths. And I've got a bunch of people starting to volunteer. I was in a grocery store the other day. 2 women come up to me and said, "Are you Bill Goebel running for school board?" And I said, "I am." And they said, "We want yard signs. We want to help you."
What grocery store was that, sir?
Lowe's Foods.
Lowe's Food.
That's the one that kicked me out of the parking lot when I was getting signatures.
And you go back and patronize them.
Absolutely. I was in the I think I was in the fried chicken area.
Oh,
and this lady came up. These 2 ladies came up. They were talking, and we probably talked about 20 minutes. And I got their names and addresses. And so in October, we'll go ahead and make sure they get yard signs.
Well, let's kind of end there in a way. If someone wanted to donate to your campaign, how do they do that? If someone wants yard signs, how do they do that? If someone wants to volunteer, how do they do that? Who's your campaign manager anyway?
Derek Mobley.
Okay.
He's gonna manage. I've already got a finance manager, so I've got that taken care of. He's gonna just coordinate for me early voting, polling coverage, and election day coverage. I'm not asking him to go door to door or any of that stuff. I've got that covered. We can do that. And besides, I think it's much more impactful for the candidate to do that than it is to send a surrogate out. I think meeting the people. So I'm going to stand in front of post offices. I'm going to stand in front of grocery stores, going to get started sooner than later. So I'll be campaigning hard, and then we'll let the people decide. And if they decide they want me, I will do the best I can, and I will really represent them. And if I don't, I accept that.
Speaking of acceptance, will you say what former President Trump didn't say, will you accept the results of the District 3 school board race?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If the people speak, and I know enough people that work in polls. My mom used to do it. There's no shenanigans. I mean, if there is, it's so minute, it doesn't have any impact. Now, if somebody loses by 4 votes, yeah, maybe somebody miscounted. Maybe somebody, they missed a vote or two or something happened, and they're human. But if you win by, 5% or more, nah.
So you're not going to pull a Rudy Giuliani who says these 2 black women were in there smuggling votes in a suitcase, giving each other heroin or whatever he said they were doing. Just crazy stuff. It's like, Rudy, why you pick on this?
That's why he lost in his court case, and he owes him tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah, and it breaks him. So how do they get in touch with you? Is there a website they can go to?
Yeah, www.globalnc.com. That's www.globalnc.com.
Is it hard to find a donate button?
Nope. It comes up right away. You have two great things you see right away: the donate button and a picture of me.
I thought the picture of your wife. I thought seeing a picture of your wife is the main.
Well, let me tell you, she's the bee's knees, and
bee's knees. I never heard that before.
Yeah, I don't know where I got that from, but she is.
You didn't just make that up, did you?
No, I've said it before, but I don't know what it means. We probably need to Google it. It might be a bad thing. I don't know.
Well, let's say this. It's too late as we move toward close, it's too late for my stump speech says no Biden, no Trump for 2024. That got my friend Congressman Mark Walker in a little trouble. There is still time for me to share with you all that trees don't grow to the sky. And what that means is, we should South Carolina say the sun don't rise and the same dog's behind all the time. Or the fact that the buzzards are circling. So to my candidate, President Joe Biden, the buzzards are circling, my friend. I'm with you now. Don't get me wrong. I'm with you. But man, you made me feel bad the other night, President Biden. You made me feel bad. You made me feel bad. I felt bad. I felt embarrassed. I felt like it was just a bad feeling. I went to bed feeling bad. I didn't sleep well. I was feeling bad, Gobo. I just didn't feel good. And a leader of the free world should make people feel comfortable resting at night, knowing that our leader is in charge.
Yeah.
I didn't feel comfortable resting after performance of knowing our leader was in charge.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I didn't have that same reaction, but because I have faith in the staff and the rest of the organization underneath them. It's like you and your church. You're just one piece of the puzzle. You don't run the whole church. If you were to leave, the church would still be going on.
I agree.
So,
I agree with you 100%.
So that's kind of how I view it. It's a shame. It's embarrassing because you would like your leader to look
like a leader.
Yeah.
Look like a leader.
Yep.
And the buzzards to get off of them. Quit picking him in the head.
Yeah, I know. Well, how much time we've gone through?
We've gone through a lot. And let me just say this. If my leader had a cold, and when former President Trump kicked him in the behind toward the end, he kicked the cold out of him.
Amen. We'll end on that note. No cold, no go. Hey, by the way, I looked up bee's knees. You know what it means?
What?
On the knees of bees is honey. So Dory's the bee's knees.
Okay, honey. Okay, honey. Listen, again, thank you all so much for joining in. I know I talked a lot about how I felt about being a Democrat, and it's the truth. I felt bad. I still feel bad. I'm hoping next time it'll be better, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We got our butts kicked.
Find Bill and Odell online at thecommonground.show. This podcast is a production of BG Ad Group. All rights reserved.
Attention men, here's an important new podcast you need to be listening to.
So this whole issue about prostate and prostate health and all the challenges that we're having with it, but no one's talking. So that's the reason why I started this podcast, so we can talk, so we can get understanding. I understand I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical individual. I'm just an ordinary, normal guy who had some issues to say, hey, let's talk about this thing.
P is for Prostate with Odell Cleveland. Download anytime where you get your podcasts. And join for the full podcast at www.patreon.com/Odell Cleveland.
Whether you're a big, medium, or small business, managing and growing the bottom line is important. Focus CFO brings the experience and financial acumen of a Fortune 100 Chief Financial Officer to your company at a fraction of the cost. P&L help, internal reporting processes, or any business transitions or events. Focus CFO will help you and your team have a CFO in your company's back pocket. Focus CFO. Learn more at focuscfo.com.